there was like Yogeshwar and Hari Vilas and Jyotir Mai. They would sometimes visit us, and it was always an upliftment when they would come and speak in Bury Place.
Yeah,
They seem to be.
It's original place, let's say, difficult place. That means if you surrender and you get some special, enthusiasm, like that, So it's very nice. But you have all that things, all culture, you bring that with you easily. It's very encouraging for us. We need that. We need you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Prabhupada. So normally we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, is that correct?
Yes, on Saturday, yes.
Today, if you want to stay back, there's a Harinam this afternoon. You're welcome. You can stay till tomorrow. You can fly tomorrow. There's a flight on Ryanair going back from Tours. Huh? Narayan Air. Narayan. Narayan Air. Yes. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Gaur Premanandi Hare Krishna Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta It appears you're reading from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. Is that correct? Chapter 2. Does anyone know where from in chapter 2? Is it somewhere specific? Well, we'll just begin where we are. E shloka tattva lakshan bhagavata sar paribhasha rupe ihara sarvatradikar. Oh, they escaped while so my eyes were down. I had my eyes down on the verse and they ran away. They were sharp. Okay. The truth indicated in this verse is the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We need a couple of guards on the door. Don't let them out, okay? Gatekeepers. The truth indicated in this verse, which is actually text 30, so let's read what text 30 says, because it's not the verse we just read. Text 30 says, O Lord of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. Are you not therefore my father, Narayan? Narayan refers to one, see if we just mention Narayan Airlines. So, Narayan refers to one whose abode is in the water born from Nara. And that Narayan is your plenary portion. All of your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and are not creations of Maya. So that is, according to this verse, is indicated, is the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. There you go. There are so many verses which, like in the Bhagavad Gita, we see sometimes Prabhupada said, this verse is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. And elsewhere we hear, these verses are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. There are so many essences are there in the spiritual realm. This conclusion through synonyms applies everywhere. Next verse. Brahmatma Bhagavan Krishna Ravihara Eyata na jani murka artakareyar. Not knowing that Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are all features of Krishna, foolish scholars speculate in various ways. Next verse. Avatari Narayan, Krishna avatar, tena chaturbuja inha manusha akara. Because Narayan has 4 hands, whereas Krishna looks just like a man, they say that Narayan is the original God, whereas Krishna is but an incarnation. Narayan's got 4 arms, Krishna only's got 2. He looks like an ordinary human, so he must be simply an expansion, incarnation of Narayan, some people say. Purport. Some scholars argue that Narayan is the original personality of Godhead, of whom Krishna is an incarnation, because Sri Krishna has 2 hands, whereas Narayan has 4. Such unintelligent scholars do not understand the features of the Absolute. We tend to look at the Absolute from our material perspectives. And measuring, but to measure, even in this material world particularly, we measure people according to their material features, their material abilities, their material assets, and so on, isn't it? You judge people, not necessarily knowing the nature of the self within. So what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is very confidential. The whole Bhagavad Gita, what is the most confidential thing in the Bhagavad Gita? A thing, statement. Chapter 9. What's confidential? That's the whole chapter. But what is most confidential about that?
Devotional service.
Devotional service, particularly chapter 9. In the very heart of the Bhagavad Gita, you find the essence of the Gita there. Chapter 9. You also see in chapter 11, believe it or not, there's a verse there which Prabhupada emphasizes. This verse is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. I don't have it in front of me, so I can't read it. But there's one verse there in the 11th chapter. It's towards the end. If you bring a book, I'll read it. It's very fascinating. 11th chapter. We'll just bring the Gita. And to get to the essence of something, we rarely get to the essence. We look on the surface, and maybe a little scratch, a little bit under the surface. But even in our own anatomy, our own physical anatomy, we don't really get to the essence. We don't really know what's really going on inside. We see what's going on outside. Thanks, Christopher. What's the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita called? The universal form. When I was a teenager, I'm a little bit older, maybe 19, 20, most of the friends around me we were kind of maybe 20 years old. We were reading different versions of Bhagavad Gita, and in most versions, we came to the conclusion that the universal form was the absolute, that was it. That was the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and many people believe this is the essence of the Gita, the universal form, because they're seeing on the material platform. They see, Krishna as, whatever, they say different things, a saintly person or some kind of, manifestation of the mode of goodness or something to help us to realize the universal form, which is the ultimate truth. That was basically, because it was kind of cosmic. You know this word, cosmic? It was, quite esoteric, quite kind of, psychedelic also, very colorful, and very dramatic, and wow. With material senses, how much further can you anticipate, The cosmic world is everything. That's it. So that form of whatever, the absolute is, the power beyond, is manifest in this 11th chapter. But Prabhupada then, in the 55th chapter, and this, by the way, is the last verse of the 11th chapter, you could say the conclusion of the universal form. Mat karma krin mat paramo mat bhakta sangavajitaha nirvarira sarvabhuteshu yaksamameti pandava. And Krishna concludes the chapter. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contaminations of fruitive activities and mental speculation, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, and who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. And Prabhupada says in the purport, anyone who wants to approach the supreme of all the personalities of Godhead on the Krishna local planet, there are many personalities of Godhead. Narayana is also a personality of Godhead. The universal form is not a personality of Godhead, but it's a form of Godhead. It's a material form. It's not a person. It's personal, but it's not permanent. It's not eternal form. Everything is personal in one sense. But it has only a temporary nature. It is related to this material energy. Saying like the supersoul is only present within the material framework. But Lord Narayana is beyond. Krishna is beyond the various major avatars we hear about. They are beyond. They're personalities of Godhead. But Prabhupada says Krishna, that's why the Krishna book is called the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one of the essences of the Bhagavatam is to clearly indicate and show, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, purpose of coming, one of them is to show clearly that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead amongst all the various transcendental forms who are worshipped by different persons. They're not incorrect, but they're not as complete, or say that not so okay, complete's not the word, not as full as the understanding of Krishna. Krishna possesses all qualities. Every single characteristic quality is within Krishna, you could say. Whatever Lord Narayan possesses, Krishna possesses that and more. Because Lord Narayan is an expansion from Krishna. You can read this later in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's explained nicely. I think you're going through the 4th chapter now. 5th chapter, 4th and 5th chapters of the Chaitanya Charitamrita will give you some, at least indication of this science of spiritual science. Krishna must take, what do we see? Anyone who wants to go there, to that highest plane, must take this formula, as stated by the Supreme himself. And then Prabhupada said, therefore, this verse is considered to be the essence of Bhagavad Gita, because it both indicates the ultimate goal and the means to the goal. And it's interesting because it's at the end of the 11th chapter, the universal form, which is like a bit of a, not a diversion by any means, but it seems a little bit odd. You'd expect it in the next chapter, but it's an introduction, you could say, to the next chapter, which is called, of Bhagavad Gita, what's it called? Devotional service. Extension, continuation of this principle of objective goal and means to reach the goal. I think in basically speaking, every practice of our lives, of course things just go along and many people don't think maybe, but those who have goals in life, they have a goal, but they don't just have a goal, you look for the means to attain it, isn't it? Is that right? Gopaswami, by the way, a large portion of his life, he was practicing as a medical doctor. I don't know if that was your goal of your studies, to become a doctor, but you became a doctor, medical, if anyone has any ailments before you go. What's the cure for all ailments? Bhavoshati chota, you're not here yesterday, most of you. Bhavoshati chota manobi ramat kutama shloka gunanavadat. The cure for all the problems. Sounds a bit simplistic, doesn't it? But it's a fact. The cure for all of our problems, if we think we've got problems, whatever they are, ultimate cure. We're not just doing patchwork here, just taking a painkiller. Most of our solutions are painkillers, isn't it? Some form or another. Mental, some therapy, some psychiatric treatment, and so on. What do you think, Gandharvika? You probably didn't catch it, or you're concentrating on achieving your present goal of getting in the temple room in one piece with your daughter. Hare Krishna. It's patchwork, isn't it? You have to put patchwork on. You've got some problem, you have to put something on it. But that's not necessarily the bottom line, the real solution. You've got to get to the root. So it's Kutama Shloka Ganana Vadat. This is the cure for all Bhava Rog. What's this rogue? Bhava Rog. What's this rogue? Bhava Rog. There are many rogues. What's the Bhava Rog? Disease of what disease? Pardon? Old age? That's just a symptom, isn't it? Unavoidable symptom if you reach that far in this life. What's this Bhava Rog?
Jaundice?
Pardon?
Is it jaundice or is it different?
You journey? What type of journey? You say journey?
Jaundice.
Huh?
Jaundice.
Jaundice. Okay, jaundice. I said journey. Jaundice. Jaundice. Well, there's more to it than jaundice. Again, that's just an effect. It's like if you jump in the water, you're going to have some effects, right? What are the effects of jumping in the water? You get wet. Maybe you get cold if it's cold. You get hot if it's hot. You may drown if you're not, depends, whatever. There are various effects. But what's the actual Bhava Rog? That's just jaundice or old age. These are just things that may happen.
Forgetting Krishna.
Pardon?
Forgotten Krishna.
What's it?
Forgetting Krishna.
Forgetting Krishna. That's not exactly Bhava Rog. It is and it isn't. You could say it's a before that. But what is Bhava Rog? Well, that's a different bhava. There are different bhavas. There's bhava, bhava. I don't know how you Sanskrit. But in this case, it refers to the ocean of birth and death. This ocean of the material world. You want to get free of that ocean, or you want to enjoy within the ocean? That's the question, isn't it? Most people want to enjoy within the ocean, don't they? Doctor, give me some cure so that I can live longer in this ocean. And I can enjoy more the fishes within the ocean, or whatever it is you're enjoying. We want to try to enjoy in this ocean. Isn't it? No? You don't? You sure? So what are you going to do about it? Some people get so frustrated they just think they can annihilate it by just, right? But it's not as easy as that. So what are you really going to do about it? Okay. Simplistic response. Anything else? Oh, that's not going to help you. We're going to dunk you deeper into the Bhava rogue. One rogue to another. Huh?
We are going to sacrifice our life.
Okay, there's a good one, isn't it? We're going to give up our life. We heard yesterday it's not just a matter of body and mind, but we've got to give our life also. That's a step. We give our body and mind in the service of whatever we do in this lifetime, but in this case, in the service of devotional service, we call it. But really, devotional service is when we sacrifice our very existence, We're just Krishna's pleasure, basically speaking. When we come to that point, where we have absolutely no interest in anything but pleasing Krishna. Everything else is whatever it is. Christopher.
Yeah, my question is, sometimes some things happen, or like someone requesting us to something, but is it pleasing to Krishna?
That depends what they're requesting you to do and what the foundation of that is. A devotee, as we heard yesterday, sees Krishna's hand behind absolutely everything. This is one of the interesting features. I haven't got that in front of me now. My computer has no battery left, so I can't open it even if we want to. But Prabhupada was, actually, Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj was explaining how no matter what situation we find ourselves in, an actual devotee sees Krishna's hand working behind all the various situations we find ourselves in. And they try to remember that. They don't just fight against it necessarily. They don't kind of like, I've got to get out of here. Well, maybe you have to do the needful from a practical sense, but internally they see Krishna's hand always at play. Even when you're put into a situation of bewilderment, you look to Krishna within. And so if someone gives you instruction, it depends who it is. It depends what it is. It depends, on various factors. Even in ordinary dealings, you don't just take whatever anyone says. You have to have some degree of, discrimination. Human life is, we're supposed to have some intelligence. We're supposed to have some degree of discrimination. Not that we spend our whole life discriminating and don't accept anything. We have to know, there's some degree at least we have to accept. Everyone's got some faith in something, rightly or wrongly. You have to have some faith, but the idea, especially in Bhagavad Gita, is so that we can understand if we want Krishna consciousness, where to place our faith. So we generally check that. I mean, if it happens to be your spiritual master, if it happens to be your temple president, we don't, even Prabhupada, I mean, there's a good example, isn't it? Sometimes a devotee living in a position of management gives an instruction which is not necessarily the best. I mean, it's not like he's telling you to worship the impersonal Brahman or, to eat meat or something. That's obvious. You should have enough intelligence to say no to that. But engage you in a service which may not be quite right. But Prabhupada would generally say, you follow the temple president, but then Prabhupada would correct the temple president, but not like, otherwise the whole system breaks down. The whole system breaks down. Everyone will question everybody. Why should I accept you? I don't care. You're the temple president. Why should I listen to you? Who do you think you are? The whole system's going to break down. You'll say the same thing to Krishna. Oh, why should I follow what you say? I'm God also. The whole system breaks down. There's a system of authority. And that's the standard. Was the standard materially. I don't know if it still is, but it used to be. But that doesn't mean blindly. You may follow there and then, but then, if there's some adjustment or some question, you have to raise it in a humble way. Not that you go on the war path and start a coup, but, you raise it, you go to another perhaps someone you have a relationship with, and inquire. Or you, if you're able to, discuss it with the authority, you discuss it. I'm bewildered. Arjuna was bewildered. He wasn't going to accept what Krishna said initially. Right? I'm not going to fight. I don't care if you want me to or not. I'm not going to fight. He had his own perspective. We all have our own perspectives, but there has to be, there's a process. And our own perspective, be it what it may, is never perfect. We're conditioned souls. And you're going to get hungry souls in a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. I think you have to go and fill your tanks, otherwise the bus will run out of steam on the way if you don't put something in the tank. In France, they call it essence. So you have to go and get the essence now and fill your tank. Okay, thank you all for coming. We'll see you before you. Probably. You're leaving from the guest house, or the bus is coming this side? How does it work?
We load up.
Is the bus going to the guest house? It can get there?
Yeah.
It can, okay. So we'll come and see you at the guest house before you all leave, okay? Thank you all for coming. And we hope that you have a few little gems from New Mayapur to take back with you to wherever you're going to, Leicester. Is every one of you from Leicester, or some from London, or what? London. Who's from London? London? Huh? Dubai?
No, I wish I was there.
Huh?
I moved to Leicester in the last 2 months, but I still count myself from London.
Oh yeah, you've forgotten. You still haven't come to Earth. You're living in Leicester now. Don't worry.
Everyone is Leicester now.
Everyone's Leicester, is it? Well, we're going to be less also. You're all going. Leicester. So Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. You're not going? You're staying here. You're not going, huh? What about the belly? But they will be too late. They're going to be gone. What a serious sadhu, isn't he? The essence. Wow. Well, so what are we going to do? We were discussing how we're going to reach that essence. Huh? And yesterday we heard in Srimad Bhagavatam, some of you were here. What did we hear yesterday?
The cart demon.
That's what started it off, wasn't it? Because we read about, how Krishna killed the Shakatasura demon, and there a little bit was said and read, and then we discussed the first verse of that chapter, didn't we?
That if we listen just by listening to the pastimes of Krishna.
If we hear Hari Lilamrita Katha, if we constantly hear the subject matter of Krishna Katha, this is this Bhavoshati Chotra Manobhiramat, which Gopaswami mentioned. This medicine to cure us of this bhava roga is this Gautama Shloka Ganana Vadat. To hear and chant about Krishna is so simple and so difficult. As Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj said, or Prabhupada said in that purport, and Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj in the commentary on it, said that the problem is we have no interest, we have no taste. That's the problem. It's there. Sugar is there. And then, as somebody mentioned, you mentioned jaundice. You're remembering yesterday's class. How one who is jaundiced, the taste of sugar candy is not very sweet. It's very bitter. Isn't it amazing? That which is really, isn't it? You can get very enlivened just thinking about it. Chanting, dancing, hearing about Krishna, isn't it? And we get caught up in all these temporary, subsidiaries. As we mentioned yesterday also, Anartha Mashaman Shakshad, Bhakti Yoga Roshire, they're superfluous. They're really not the solution. They're nothing really to do with the soul. We're just covered by these things, and we're working hard to try to make the coverings more comfortable. I want it more comfortable. My coat's not fitting properly. This morning I put my coat on. I put the other coat aside, and I put a coat which is clean and fresh. And it was so disturbing. It's over there. I couldn't get the zip to come up. The sleeves were down here. The zip wouldn't go up. And, so now I'm thinking, that's enough of that coat. I want another coat. This is the material world. We're never satisfied. We get another coat. The other coat I've got is a left-handed one, and it took me 6 months to get used to zipping it up. There's nothing comfortable in this world. Then you get a nice coat, And then last night I liked the fire a bit cold, and then it's so hot I can't. It's like you can't sleep. It's like there's nothing comfortable in this world. You got a nice water system, and the pressure's not enough, so it doesn't ignite the flame in the water. I got one of these water pressure geysers. It's not run by electricity; it's the pressure of the water, and if the pressure's not enough, the flame doesn't come on. It's like one thing after another. That's the material world. It's meant to be like that. It's meant to be like that. We don't realize it. That's meant to be like that. We think, "Oh my God, why is it like this?" Isn't it? We're spending most of our energy, trying to adjust this dream. It's a dream. I had a great dream this morning. Did you have a nice dream last night, anyone? I woke up and I was spontaneously chanting. Spontaneously. The dream ended with this amazing kirtan. Yeah. It was with different devotees. They weren't members of ISKCON, by the way. It was amazing. All kinds of devotees. And everyone's chanting and dancing.
Yeah, me too.
You did?
Yeah, big kirtan.
Isn't that incredible? There's something in the atmosphere. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. We were all chanting Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda and dancing. It was in some kind of park, and we were all going out into the streets. And then I woke up. Boom. And I was just chanting all the way to the bathroom. I was chanting Hare Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda.
You sent me your dream,
probably. You probably woke up before I did. I had a kind of up and down night last night with the heat, and I managed to sleep eventually. And anyway, it's a dream. And when you have a dream like that, it reminds us, and it's joyful. Krishna consciousness is supposed to be joyful. It's not like, oh God, here we go again, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Oh, what's the point, Oh, let me look at the Bhagavad Gita. Sankirtan Prabhu. I'm not feeling very well. Sankirtan Prabhu, it's going to rain. Sankirtan Prabhu, I've got to go out and do something else. Sankirtan, I went last week. Sankirtan, hide away somewhere. Go yourself. We missed the point. We missed the point. Kirtan, temple program. Okay? Health may not allow us. Other things may not allow us. But Sangha. What did we hear yesterday about Sangha? That was really nice. I really liked that one.
We should listen in the session of devotees.
Here and what did Bhaktisanta was asked the question, if you don't have it, you live a long way out of it, what do you do?
Create an association.
Well, Prabhupada said that. You said you become the association, you try to create that association. But Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was, you could say, answering it perhaps for a little bit more here and now aspect. What did he say? Yeah, you should very, very carefully hear the scriptures of the pure devotees of the Lord. Very attentively hear. And whenever you get the chance, you should go and associate with devotees in the mat, which he said, there is constant hearing and chanting going on and devotional service going on there. You should go there and take that spirit with you back where you go and try to utilize what you hear in your daily life, wherever you go. But regularly at home, you should hear and chant the scriptures regularly, wherever you are. Even if you don't have that regular, it's the same medicine. Of course, living in the temple, you have no excuse in one sense. We do find lots of excuses, but we don't have such a justifiable excuse to say, whatever we say. When you're living in hundreds of kilometers away and no very, very rare association. Now we have social media, which makes another avenue, we could say, to associate. But in general, in the past, it wasn't like that. You had to go physically to a temple. I'm sure you experienced that too. I mean, I was going for 6 months before I joined the temple, as once or twice a month. I had to go 100 miles to reach the temple. And it was relishable. But then I'd take that back home and start to, with the books and try to redo the same things they're doing in the temple as much as you could in your home life anyway. Try to, place it into action in your home life. And this way, you feel kind of, there's like a protection there. Krishna gives that protection. We hear regularly. Okay, we got to go. We got to get moving, and we will finish there. Are there any questions, comments? So in the bus, don't waste your time. Try to utilize it as much as you can, hearing and chanting. Tasmat, what's that verse? Tasmat? No. Huh? Yeah. Bhagavan sattvatam patihi, shrotavya kititavyascha, dhyaya pujascha nichida. That's right in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. What does Sutta Goswami says? Therefore, what do you say? One-pointed attention. Not just you should do it, one-pointed. Not with your mind somewhere else. With one-pointed attention. We should constantly do what? Hear about, pardon? Hear about, chant, worship, and so on. The personality of Godhead. Who's the best well-wisher, friend of the devotees? He's our real friend. You like to hear about, material speaking, anything which is, let's say, favorable or friendly towards us, whether it's a particular activity or a particular person or whatever it is. We generally like to hear it. But the real friend, the only real friend, is Krishna. And those who, you could say, represent Krishna to remind us of that are our friends, but in relationship with Krishna. Only in as much as they help us to remember Krishna. That's the idea. Most people won't agree with that, and I don't know if devotees, how much we apply that in our lives, but that's the very preliminary in the Bhagavatam, isn't it? Giving us the very early, you could say, understanding of what the process of Bhagavatam, to understand the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That Krishna is what is normally known, there's a verse called the Paribhashya Sutra. What does that mean? That means the essential verse which captures the overall purpose or essence, basically, of the script. What is that in Bhagavatam? There's one verse which is described as this essential verse. Ete Chanksa Kala Punksa Krishnas tu Bhagavan Svayam. That of all the various related to today's Chaitanya Charitamrita, of all the various forms of Godhead, all the various expansions, everything, what does it say? Krishna is the origin. He's the source of all. He is the supreme amongst all. This is you could say, that's why so many incarnations are there, so many descriptions of different stages, universal form, Paramatma, Brahman, everything is described. But the conclusion is that Krishna is the source of everything. He's the origin. As we hear in Brahma Samhita, we all know that verse probably. Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchidananda Vigraha, Anadiradi Govindam, Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. He's the cause of all causes. That's another topic. But this is the understanding. Bhagavatam is to help us to understand why it's spoken is for that very reason. So right in the beginning, Sutta Goswami is establishing the method, the process of realizing that. Not just realizing the Brahman. That's another source of knowledge. Huh? What's that famous verse? It was mentioned just now, actually. Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. They're all forms of Godhead, and we could say. Who knows that verse? Pardon?
I don't know the verse. There's something like this.
Yeah, what's the first line again? Vadanti tattvavidas tattvijnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabjate. What does that mean?
There's 3 features.
Learned transcendentalists know the absolute truth in 3 features. Not 1, 3. Brahman, what does Brahman? Brahman means everything ultimately is spirit. Ultimately. Material energy is, you could say, just a covered form of Brahman. It's another form. Covered by the illusory energy. It looks separated, but this world is also the spiritual energy, but it's just appearing separated from Krishna. So we call it material. But everything's ultimately Brahman. Everything. But then there's Paramatma, that within that Brahman there is variety. There's the Supreme Lord. Apart from, you could say, the living entity in the heart we see in this world. But then the higher or the more complete understanding of the absolute is the Bhagavan form, the multifarious, where there's rasa, relationship, eternal relationship, sweet tasting relationship there. So these are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam with a conclusion. The 10th canto is like the essence, as far as you could say the subject matter of the Bhagavatam goes. So we should dive into the methodology as well as understanding the objective goal behind it. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Safe journey for those who are heading off. How long are you staying with us, Amala? Forever? You staying forever? Where have you gone? Are you staying forever with us here? Yes. Oh, back to Blois? Back to Godhead! Haribo. We're going home. We're going home back to Blois Head. Blois Head or Godhead?